Hello, everybody. I'm sorry I can't be with you to give this talk today, but we're doing the next best thing and recording it and sending it into the school. I hope it'll be a help to everybody. This is a very important time of the year for farmers and for gardeners. And everybody, of course, knows that this is the time of the year when we do celebrate, as you can see on my board, the important time of harvest. And as we use that word and as we think about it, I want to use those letters to make various words to help us understand the full meaning of harvest. So it is a time, of course, for farmers and gardeners who have worked right through the spring and the summer, and now they deserve, follow me, and somebody will put their hand up and say the word that I'm making, I'm quite sure, they deserve a good rest because they've worked so hard, and harvest is a time when they can have a rest and relax a little bit after a full summer's work. When the fields are empty of their harvest and the gardens have had all the fruit and vegetables picked, they can rest. So what else do we think about when we think about harvest? Well, I think it is a time when we really give thanks that we all have plenty to perfectly right, plenty to eat. Thankfully, in our country, we don't go home after school and say, well, there's nothing on the table and nothing in the cupboard. There's always something to eat. Maybe not what we always want, but certainly something that will help us to keep alive. We can be thankful, can't we? And I suppose we ought to say, really, we should give our thanks to God for what he has provided for us. I wish I could put beside eat something that we could drink. And I think I can. I just remove that and you know where I'm going. There's nothing like a good cup of tea. And we can be thankful for that as well. So that you can see that, let's move that over so it's on the board like that. Well, what else can we be thankful for? Well, I suppose in a way, when we think about it, and I was at a church just recently when they were celebrating harvest in the best possible way with all the virus restrictions, but they had quite a display of things. And I looked at potatoes and I looked at carrots on display and parsnips and all sorts of different vegetables. And it occurred to me that all those things came from anybody know where I'm going? Can you put your hand up and tell me? You're going towards, of course, the earth. Everything came from the earth. And of course, there's often mud on some of those things, isn't it? Reminding us that it's all come from the earth. We're thankful not only for things we have to eat and drink, but everything that's provided for us from the earth. And that's not the end of harvest, really, because I think there's something else. We're very fortunate, of course, in our area. We're not very, very far from the coast and the beach, and no doubt in the summer with all that beautiful weather, most of us spent quite a lot of time there. But of course, we can think of the harvest of where am I going? I guess somebody spotted that word already, the harvest of the sea. And we have to be thankful for that, don't we? When we think of all the fish that we enjoy having and the work that people have to do with their trawlers and fishermen working all through the night sometimes to catch fish, we're thankful for not only the harvest from the earth, but the harvest from the sea. And then I thought to myself, well, I suppose we all ought to be thankful. All of you are in school today. Thankfully, you're very well. And I hope there aren't too many children away from school with coughs and colds or anybody perhaps with that terrible virus. But when we think about it, we've all got something to be thankful for. And I can spell that word, it's quite a big word. We can be thankful that every one of us has got a heart. And we wouldn't be here if we didn't have one, have we? I'm very fortunate. Just here I've got a pacemaker that keeps my heart going in the way that it should. And I'm very thankful for that because probably I couldn't do what I do without that pacemaker. Our hearts are very important, aren't they? Can you think of another part of the body that's important? Of course, you can. There it is. We've all got ears, haven't we? And we're thankful for them. And of course, some children do struggle a bit with that, but they have various aids to help them. So we can be thankful for our ears that enable us to hear, and our hearts that enable us to be able to breathe and to live. Then I thought to myself, well, when you think about some of the children that I've seen in Africa, particularly just running around some of the terrible shantytown estates where houses are very poor and everybody lives right on the edge of their lives with very little food and very little money, and children are just running around, and I'm afraid that most of them haven't got hardly any clothes on at all. But we're thankful. All of us have got plenty in our wardrobes at home, and we do have a choice of clothes, most usually, don't we? I thought about that. How can I spell something to do with clothes? And it took me a bit of a thought for that one. When I was at school many, many years ago, of course, I don't think there was much central heating. And the rooms weren't very warm, really. And if you went to the toilet, you have to go outside across the yard to an outside toilet. Things were quite difficult and different from what they are today. So when my mum sent me off to school, she sent me with something that I wouldn't dream of wearing today, but it was needed in those days. She sent me off to school. Can you guess where I'm going? You're perfectly right. With quite a thick woolen vest. It was certainly not a very nice piece of equipment, but it kept me warm. And sometimes when you went to the toilet, the teacher would say, well, if it's raining, make sure you put your coat on when you go outside, and don't forget to put on your hat as well. Well, of course, that was very helpful too, wasn't it? So we're getting some different words, aren't we, that we can think about. I suppose in a way, we are fortunate because we are people who definitely, you spell that word? Have. We're the haves, aren't we? We've got food. We can be thankful for that. We've got our bodies and good health, most of us. We've certainly got clothes that we can wear. We've got a lot to be thankful for compared with some people in different parts of the world. And when we look at it, I know this is true, and this is a hard word, and you'll have to watch me carefully and see if you can help me with it. We'll put that one there, and we'll put that one there, and we'll put that one there. Try and move that one over a little bit, and in the middle, you're right, starve. And I suppose in a way, that really helps to bring the message of harvest home to all of us, because if we think about it, we aren't likely to be in that situation. I know that sometimes you can say, oh, I'm starving, Mum. I really must have something to eat. But starving is something that we don't really know much about. But as I say, children in some places do. And if that's the case, in a way, harvest has a message of thankfulness to God, thankful to those who provide for us. But also the thought is that if we've got plenty, maybe there is some way in which we can you see where I'm going? S-H-A, an R, and of course an E. We have the opportunity of sharing. And of course, if some schools, maybe not now because of the difficulties there is, but usually we would bring things in and maybe they would go to those who are homeless in our country or to help support some other charity. But we always try to think of harvest as a time when we not only say thank you, but we give to help those who have particular needs wherever they are. So that's another word. Well, we could carry on like this, but it would be good for you to just think about this. Think about the things that we have to eat, to drink. Think about the bodies that we have, our hearts and our ears. Think about the clothes that we can wear. Think about the fact that we have so much and others are starving, but also think too about the fact that we can share. I will set you a little sort of piece of homework, if you like. If you went home, had a piece of paper, wrote harvest on the top, I wonder how many words you could get from that word. I think if you get up to about 30, you're very, very good. I think the maximum you can get is probably nearer 40 common words that we use. Some of you will say, well, I'm not too good on homework and I don't really fancy doing any extra work from Mr. Gillam. But just a thought, you might say to yourself, when I get home, I'm not going to do that homework that he suggested because I want to watch the TV. And I can guess that some of you might be thinking just like that. Others of you might think to yourself, and I hope this doesn't happen, I'm going to have a go at this. I'm not very good at spelling, and I hope that you won't shed any tears. I'm sure you won't, but it would be nice to think that nobody got upset about trying to do something like that. So we could go on. There are so many different words that you could make, and some of them have got nothing at all to do with harvest, of course, but something that you can think about. I guess the farmers want to make sure that if they've got their grain into their store, they want to be very careful that there are no, you're perfectly right, rats in their store who might be eating some of their crops. So let's finish with a word that perhaps is so important, perhaps the most important word that we made today, S-H-A-R-E. Let's think about some way that we as a family, as a school maybe, or as individuals can share something of what we have with others who are not as fortunate. I hope you enjoyed the talk, and I hope it won't be too long before I can come and see you and actually speak to you in the classroom or in the school hall. Bye.